Hi, I made a texture editor for Unity, and in this video I'm gonna show you why and how to use it. So first of all, let's have a quick look at all the features that it can do, and then I have a few examples prepared for you later in this video. So once you import this asset, you can find it here in the Easy Texture Editor folder, where you have all the source code and everything. And to open up all the actual windows, you go into Window, Easy Texture Editor, and you have all the tools here. So first one of the tools is a quick editor, which is just a regular image editor. So you can select a image and put it in there to modify maybe something about it. As you can see, it generates a preview for you, so you can maybe choose a different resolution and then apply some changes to it. There is a bunch of filters over here from brightness, contrast, gamma, saturation, etc. And you can even do blending modes like in Photoshop, for example. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this tool. Once you are happy with your result, you can maybe compare it with the original image and then save it as JPEG or PNG. It can also read any TGA files you put into this, so it works with transparency, and it generates a nice new name for you for this file, so it contains all the information about these effects you've applied to it in case you need to backtrack something later. You can just press this quick save button and generates a new file for you where the original file was, and with this new name that you see over here. So it never overwrites anything, it always creates a new file for you. After that, there is a transform tool in here, so I can maybe open up this image that I've created and rotate it, or maybe mirror the axis in here, and afterwards I can again save it in some form. And then we have the channel packer, and as you probably know, materials in Unity use channel packing. So in this node, for example, you can see or in red channel it's expected to put metallic data in here, and the smoothness data is in the alpha channel for this input. So in case your textures don't do that by default, you can just create it on your own in here easily. So you can maybe select a preset of what you're doing, and in case you are doing something on your own, you can use this custom value here. So let's create something real quick. I'm gonna put maybe this texture in here. Let's select a blue channel from this image to go into red channel. Let's put a green channel from this image into the green channel, and for this, for example, let's go with red but inverted to go into the blue channel. I'm going to leave it as a free channel map in JPEG format, for example, right now. So save it in here. It's gonna resize all the images in case they are not in the same aspect ratio, and there we have it. This is the image we've created from this. And moving on, we have this in-game preview tool, and this is a paid feature, so the free version of this asset doesn't have this. But all the functionality you have here is enough to simulate pretty much this, but it just takes more time. So in this node, you can select an object from your scene. For example, I have this set up in here, and it looks for all the child objects and mesh renders you have there. It also works with skin meshes and some particles, so you can work with it as well. Once you select the renderer, you can select the material that is on that renderer and all the textures that are in that material to modify them on the fly. So I can just brightness, contrast from this image, quick save it, and it's gonna stay like that. Or maybe I can go into a different model here, use a texture from different material, and yeah, again apply the same maybe changes to it. It works by replacing the modified texture with a render texture that is using all the same data from the beginning, but modifying the render texture in the process. So as you can see, you can play around with it quite easily, maybe create something completely different or unique. And once you're happy with your result, you can just press save, it generates a new file for you, replaces the texture in your material, and it's all done. So yeah, we have that ready. In this example, I will show you how to match different lighting conditions on your 3D models and assets. As you can see, I have two models in here in this scene, and they don't really match the lighting of my scene or each other actually. This can often happen when you combine different asset packs from various vendors, but in this example actually both of these models are from the same developer, and even though this is a great asset pack, the model just doesn't match well each other, let alone my scene in here. So this is a kind of big issue. As you can see, the transition here is very striking, and you can't really use this model as it is right now. So the traditional way of fixing something like this will be to open the image in something like Photoshop and adjusting the brightness and all the other values in there. But the problem with that is you don't really see the actual product. You see something in Photoshop, but it's not really the same as you put it in this engine and light it with your conditions or your post-processing or your other things. So not only do you don't really see the final result when you do it in Photoshop, it also takes a lot of time to find that file, open it in Photoshop, apply the changes, save it, and find the file again, move it into your engine, apply the texture to your material, and see the difference. And if it doesn't really look like you want it to, you have to do it all over again. So this kind of workflow is why I made this plugin, this extension, so you can do it in game and see it well, a lot better. So here we go. I have my in-game preview over here. I can select some asset and drag it in there. Let's start with the trunk, and as you can see, this model has several LODs, and I can select which render I'm gonna use here. But they all use the same material with the same texture, so that doesn't really concern me right now. So first of all, I can just go ahead and play with the values in here and see whatever fits my needs. I usually just fiddle around with the numbers until something looks right, and you can actually see some patterns eventually. So it doesn't really take too much time usually. To make this video a little bit shorter, I already looked into how to make this asset fit this scene better, so I'm just going to apply the same values, or close the same values in here, and you can see the direct result of just playing around with numbers. As you can see, I'm applying all sorts of variables in here, and at the end of it I'm just going to multiply with this yellowish color that I picked up with the color picker from somewhere in here. And yeah, this is what you can do with it in game. So this button right here shows you the original image, how it looked before you started messing with it. So this is what it looked like before, and especially in this backside, this is extremely striking and really doesn't fit my scene here. And seeing the modified version, it's still not exactly perfect, but the green, for example, on this moss looks a lot closer to green on my texture now, and the lighting, the highlights, everything is brought down and fits a lot better. So this actually can get lost in your eyesight. You don't really see it. You're not gonna pay attention to this stump. It's gonna naturally fit in as compared to this white beacon. So yeah, I just modified the texture. I can save it in here as JPEG. It's gonna take a little bit time, and there we go. This model now has applied this new texture. I can still access the original texture in here, and all is well. I can now switch to a different model and continue my work. Let's have a look at this other model. What I don't really like about this model is the bark texture. It's actually, I'd say, supposed to be a little bit darker, and this is strikingly white again. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open up the branch material in here and look at this texture. So this is gonna be probably a little bit easier, just going down with the brightness. Already looks a lot better. Maybe try some other stuff as well, combining lower brightness with higher exposure or something like that. I'd say this looks quite pleasing. So again, I can just save this. And going back to the leaves over here, you can see these are transparent, so this tool separates, of course, transparent images, and I can adjust them the same way. So as you can see, the main difference there being is these very white, bright leaves are now fitting much better with the overall picture. So yeah, I'm happy with this result. I'm just gonna save it in PNG to keep the alpha channel, and that's it. And here we have another example of mismatched lighting conditions. As you can see, the background is in nighttime and everything is kind of blue, while the main character here is brightly yellowish color, so it was meant for daytime scenes. The reason for that is because this character was from different asset pack, so the background doesn't really match the character, but there is an easy way to fix that. I can open up this Ninja here in my image editor, and you should probably know that right now it doesn't really support sprites because you can't put render textures instead of sprites, and the way to go around it is right now to use a quad and transparent kind of unlit material to just to see the differences in the image editing. So first of all, I can just adjust the brightness and other settings in here, but what you'll probably soon realize is it still doesn't really match, and there is no way to make it match. The reason for that is because everything here is blue, while the character is really not that blue. So what I'm gonna have to do is apply some blue color filter on top of this character, and I can do that with blending nodes in here. So I'm probably gonna go ahead with multiply and just take some samples, some blue color here, and just pick this one for example. That seems about right. Maybe just less brightness, let's use saturation. Yeah, that looks quite a bit better. Yeah, that's probably good enough for now. So once it's all done, I can just quick save as PNG to save the alpha channel and everything. So there we go. Here we have a free model of a zombie that you can download from Asset Store. And first of all, this is a great asset. The model and texture and everything is super well done. But I think there is just one thing that I want to change about it, and that would be the texture of this model. Looking at it, the zombie is super clean for a zombie. So I think I'd like my zombies to be covered in dirt or blood or something like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play around with that. I have this dirt texture here that I can apply to the zombie, but before that I can just open it up in this quick editor here, and let's see. I'm gonna make it look like it's blood. I'm gonna go ahead with red color here, and let's see which blend mode is gonna do that for me. Just adding the red color here looks quite good, but it's a bit too much bright for blood, so I'm just gonna go ahead with different mode here. Light and looks good, but not good enough. Well, this one is, this is pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead with something like 80%, maybe less, 73, something like that. so it's not completely red, but a bit more dirtier. And yeah, this will probably do. So I'm gonna save it as a JPEG in here, and I'm gonna open up this zombie here, and as you can see, it's all one nice texture here. And doing brightness, contrast, or whatever is not really gonna do much for me right now. What I'm looking for is this blend mode in here. I'm gonna blend it with a texture. I'm gonna put this blood texture in here, and yeah, this already looks a lot scarier. It looks pretty good. But I have a bunch of more blend modes in here, so I can play around with it and see what looks great. This kind of looks interesting, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for. And I think the way to go would be these burn effects. So yeah, just covered it like that, and that looks a lot scarier than before, I think. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. Apart from that, I think the emission here could be also a little bit different. So this is a funny texture, and it's here in his eyes. As you can see, it's supposed to be emitting some blue effect, and let's say I want to be a little bit different. I can play around with that to keep the iris texture in there while still making it glow. Yeah, I think that is enough. And the other thing is I can just modify the color. So maybe I want it a little bit more red. That's not gonna do it for me. Never mind. I'm just gonna go ahead and maybe multiply with some red color. Maybe that's gonna help. Yeah, that's not the way to go. Let's see. Darken looks pretty good. Color burn. That's probably gonna be the way to go again. Yeah, that looks great. So that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna save it in here, and that's it. I have my elite zombie made right in the editor. In this example, I have a cube here with some material applied from a free asset pack, and it has hardwood floor on it and looks very good, but it's not exactly photorealistic. There's a missing detail there, as you can see in the amount of reflected light on the cube, and there's also some specular aliasing going on. So what you're supposed to do usually is apply this channel packed map here in this slot with both standard and other setups in URP and HDRP and everything that's going on right now. So I can use this channel packer feature here to create such a map. The reason why I have to even do that is because even though this asset is really great, it has all the maps required, it doesn't have these channel packs textures, so I have to do it myself. So since I'm working with standard renderer here, I'm gonna go ahead and select this standard setup, and it already tells me what I have to plug in here. So I'm gonna look for the metallic texture, which I think is this one. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put it in here, and then the smoothness. I'm gonna apply the smoothness in here, and I can pick which channel I want to use from this texture, but red should do the trick for both of those. So I'm just gonna save it in here. Yeah, custom channel map, There it is, and apply this to this material. And as you can see, it doesn't really match. There is an issue in there, which is that I've applied a roughness texture into the smoothness node, so I have to invert it, which is usually the case. So yeah, I can just go ahead and save it again with a different version. And let's see, is this the same one? Nope. There it is. And as you can see, now the lighting is a lot better on this material, which is quite better. So yeah, that's the channel packer feature. In this example, I'm just gonna play around with this model and see what we can do to change it. This is a great free asset you can download, and it already has a nice texture in here. And not only that, but there's also a few variations of that, different colors and everything. But still, I might just want to do something different. For example, looking at the emission map here, there's only one of those, so I'm just gonna play around with it and see what we can do with this model here. So as I open it up in this preview node, preview tool, I have all the textures applied to the material there, and I can change its properties. So let's see. Given this scene I have set up here, I think the brightness of the texture doesn't really match the lighting conditions in here. So first of all, I'm just gonna maybe increase the brightness of the model, so that looks a lot better right away. And depending on my styling, I can just do all the other stuff as well. Next, what we can do here is play with this hue node and change the color to whatever I want. For example, this bright green color is not available in these presets, so that's kind of cool that I can do that. I can maybe go grayscale or something completely different. And if I feel like it, I can just go ahead and maybe use a blending node with some other texture here, and maybe apply some dirt to this plane. In case I want it dirty, I can just go ahead and apply some surface imperfections on this texture. And yeah, I don't like this resolution, so I'm gonna go here and increase it, see what it looks like. Full res, that's somewhat better. Yeah, I think the multiply worked pretty well in here. So yeah, once I'm done, I can just save this, use it, do whatever. This is probably good for a JPEG, and next what I'm gonna do is look into the emission texture right here. Since it's all red, maybe I want to do something different within blue. Maybe go with this bright orange. Maybe even just the brightness of the color and then different tones. So yeah, I can do all these variations in here. It looks pretty great, I'd say. So I can just pick whatever I want for this exact model and save it, use it, replace it, all easily inside the editor. And apart from that, I can also do the other maps. Right now I can see the metallic texture on it, and let's just see what happens if I maybe invert it. As you can see, it looks like as if it was made of plastic, like a toy, if it's not really metallic. This might be the look that I'm looking for, so that looks quite cool, I'd say. But that's really just up to you, what you're gonna do with it. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with this, save it, and there we go. Now I have my new model, well, the material.